Okay, so when the museum introduced their ideas for the upcoming exhibition in 2015, a lot of us were intrigued by the content of the time exhibition right from the start, because the topic of time is becoming more and more relevant, especially in connection to space and memory. So we split into 3 groups that are dedicated to different aspects of this wide-ranging subject. And the following 3 presentations will therefore not just mirror the different aspects of time we explored during the last 2 weeks, but also gently guide you through the past, as dealing with objects and family memories, the present, dedicated to perception and deception of time and role plays, and through a possible future of the Museum of World Culture. So we will start with our first project called Pieces of Memory. And regarding to the theme of our workshop, being visitors, becoming producers, we investigated different approaches to the concept of participation and ways of using it in the museum. So we tried to deal with different methods of working with user-generated contents like geocaching, treasure hunts, augmented reality or QR codes. But then we realized that it's quite difficult to activate people to participate by just watching a video or commenting on Facebook. So our idea of participation is not only to offer an interactive platform, but also to provide a possibility for people to physically contribute and curate. So basically, let the people decide which stories are important to discuss in the cultural discourse. So we came up with an idea for a project that the museum could put into practice in cooperation with the schools located in the different districts of Gothenburg, and that carries personal stories into the public space.
And now we would like to give you a more concrete idea about our project. Since the Museum of World Culture is planning an exhibition about the topic of time, which, as we have already heard, has a lot to do with memories and personal stories, we thought that this would be a very good idea to realize our idea and connect it to this exhibition. But how are we going to approach this? Basically, a mediator from the museum goes into the school and works with one class in one district of Gothenburg and invites the children to bring an object which has a special meaning to the family and is connected to memory and time. And every child of the class gets the possibility to exhibit one object and its story in the public space. For this purpose, we want to use one of the glass cases, which are located out on the Avenue in the city of Gothenburg. And this space will be provided to the class for a certain amount of time, for example for 3 months or maybe up to 1 year. That would be something to find out. And within this period, one object at a time will be exhibited with a short description of the story that it tells about the family. And this can be realized, for example, through a written text that is written on a poster and exhibited in the glass case as well. And you could add also a QR code that leads to a website with video material, audio material, or just any further information. And every once in a while this object will be exchanged for the next one until every child that wants to contribute something to this exhibition has presented its object. After the objects have been exhibited in public, a digital version of the object and its story would be fed into an online archive, which will be brought to the Museum of World Culture as a part of the Time exhibition. And that could happen, for example, through a replica of this glass box with an integrated digital screen on which you could browse through the exhibition.
So to sum up our idea in just a few keywords, you can say that our aim is to find a way of realizing a participatory project that involves the communities of the city and enables them to create and curate their own exhibition. And in this case, the museum only provides the framework, space, and its expertise, and they hand over all the decisions in terms of content to the participants of the project. So the project covers different aspects of the museum tries to combine. First of all, it's a cross-generational project because it encourages a dialogue between the children, their parents and grandparents, and it also raises questions about the family's identity.
But it is also a cross-cultural project because it connects stories from the families with different backgrounds and thus shows a variety of different perspectives on living in Gothenburg. And it connects the museum to the city and strengthens the relationship to its inhabitants. So all in all, this project enables future visitors to become producers, or if you want to put it in other words, prosumers of world culture. Looking even further into the future, you could also think of different ways to extend this project and cooperate with different institutions, for example with elderly homes, or let it become a national project. But to figure this out in detail, you definitely have a lot of time.
We worked with how the subject of time and how this exhibition can be changed through time to get visitors coming back for the exhibition and try to find a method for that. And our task is to find how we can use live action role-playing called LARP in the museum. So this is the nerdy and geeky part of the presentation. First we have to ask us the question, what is LARP? The most common task of LARP is that men, like Klaas, dress up in old-fashioned clothing and react wars, playing war with each other. They don't act LARPing for audience, but they act LARP for themselves. They act LARPing because they want to learn, they want to gain an experience. That's why we want to use some methods of LARP in our project. But we don't want to create LARP in the museum. We don't want Klaas running around in costumes in the museum. But we want to use LARP as an inspiration, as a toolbox for the exhibition. So then, what do we use on LARP when we don't use the costumes, don't use the playing part? That we want to use is creating alibis. In role-playing, you get a role. We don't want every visitor to have a role. We don't want everyone to play something in the exhibition. We want to use tools that you can get the alibi to doing the not museum things. every visitor or every parent try to teach their child to do museum. Don't touch, don't run, don't do anything that's not museum. If you have an alibi to do the not museum things, to try to touch, to try to run, then you can keep the child to be a nice child in other museums, but still be more participating in the museum. And then you also can have the same exhibition through time and create different perspectives and experiences for different people on different times they visit the exhibition.
So, for this exhibition space, we imagine an empty slate. A big, not white, but it could be any color, but it's an empty slate for you. Because you can make the story. You get these rules, you can make your story within the rules, within some guidelines, but with your family, pan-generational learning, you can create the story with the object in this space.
Yes, and then you can use the objects as a tool for storytelling. All those objects that we have in the collection can be used by the LARP methods. Maybe you can get in your ticket, maybe the ticket is your role. If you get a blue ticket, you only can listen to all the objects. If you get an older ticket, you only get inspiration of the religious parts of the object. You can use the object to get inspiration, to create your own stories. Maybe everyone that have a pink ticket have to tell what the object is afterwards. And then you can play what all the visitors have been saying about the object to the other visitors. Then you create a new perspective on every object.
And we want this space to be very sensual. Your smell, your eyes, your fingers, even your tongue, maybe you can taste an object and listen. And another thing is that we want this space to be timeless. It's a capsule for reflecting both on the past and the present. But this space is a timeless space that can stand for time to reflect on both present and now. And it has to be a universal design for both wheelchair and dyslexic children and adults. And therefore as least text as possible.
And one of the main tasks we wanted to have a solution of was how can we make the visitors coming back. You said that you want 100,000 new visitors in this exhibition each year in 10 to 15 years. And you can do as in the museum, having monkeys all over the place and something, but that's not a solution for this museum. Maybe you want for that. With the role-play tools, you can change the exhibition, or you can change the impact of the exhibition, that it becomes different every time, and it's easy to diverse into different age groups, different peoples, or different tasks, or new issues that you want to take up as a part of the exhibition. And as we said, you can use roll cards, colors, tickets, everything to get the visitors to get different experience each time they visit the exhibition. And they don't have to be a role. You don't get a role. You don't get, like, you have to be a baker in this exhibition. You have just a task or a perspective that you experience through the exhibition. And on this part, the museum becomes a game master. The museum becomes a game master, and every exhibitor becomes a LARPer, but not as fast. To sum up, we want to use the toolbox of LARPing in the exhibition. Don't create LARP in the exhibition, but use tools from role-playing to get more playing with the objects and with the tasks of the museum. Thank you.
I'm speaking for the last group, which deals with the topic of the future, and for our group it was very important to produce, so we wanted to become producers. And we were talking about the identity crisis as a normal state of mind, and this inspired us to be a basic topic of our subgroup work. So the question of identity is mostly connected to the future. What will happen to me? Which decisions and risks shall I take? And as we learned also in this work, also institutions have an identity, or as he used the term, a DNA. Meaning these questions have to be discussed and decisions have to be made in a collective and also in a political way. And the Kulturmuseet came up to us asking questions that are maybe characteristic for an identity crisis, such as how can we bring back the objects? How do we bring in the visitors? How can we make them come back or stay for a longer time? And how can we make them participate? We think that it is this crisis issue that somehow, not knowing how to deal with certain problems, which somehow connects the museum to its visitors and also to us. This is why we created 2 small video drafts for a provoking campaign that shall generate participation, where it happens today in social media. And dealing with its weaknesses or uncertainties, via this campaign, the museum would at the same time confront its visitors with its own questions. How do they want to participate? And how far should the museum open its doors? We now present 2 dystopic drafts of participation in the Kulturmuseet of the future.
The student of applied culture, Julia Kuzminska from Hildesheim, Germany, loves to travel around the globe in search of hints that help her finally define the term of world culture. When she heard of the Gothenburg Museum of World Culture opening its doors to everyone on Wednesday, becoming the first hostel of world culture, she directly booked a flight. The hostel's facilities include different exhibitions to sleep in. Eye Moments is one of them. Photographs are unique historical documents preserving gazes and events from a specific time and place. They tell different stories and show how we have perceived the mundane, different, beautiful or uncomfortable. They can help us remember persons and events that have disappeared, been repressed or banned. The camera lens freezes the moment when the present and the past meet.
I think they did a great job bringing the society and the museum together again, and sleeping close to these objects will definitely help me to widen my horizon and to understand what world culture is all about.
5. The Museum of World Culture had around 100,000 objects spread across 2,500 collections from around the world that are managed and shown to the public in Sweden and abroad. The exhibitions highlighted contemporary global issues through a combination of its own and borrowed objects, photographs, films, and artwork. Vital knowledge about the collections and social issues were kept alive through the collaboration with international researchers. Due to the developments according to the Internet, the Museum of World Culture managed to digitalize every single object of the archive. Therefore, its meaning changed fundamentally.
Since the whole collection is digitalized, we don't need it anymore. So we thought about what we can do with the objects, and so the register number can go away. And I think 25 krona. And this can go to the museum shop. Could be a flood, could be also a vase, but actually we don't know, so we sell it on eBay. So everybody can come and can see the objects and maybe take them home, partly for free, partly for a little bit amount of money. So yeah, come over and help yourself.
So this is our product, and we have time for comments and questions to all the producers.